Miami's offensive line will look to set the tone for a successful 2025 season. They've got a new starting center, but they're not going to lose a step with James Brockermeyer up front.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Miami Hurricanes radio network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen or your second listen and your second watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll talk about the outlook for the Miami Hurricanes offensive line, why James Brockermeyer, spoiler alert, he's about to join us, why he picked Miami after hitting the transfer portal, and how those first 5 practices have gone at Green Tree. We have the pleasure of being joined by Miami Hurricane center James Brockermeyer. Remember, he transferred in from TCU. He's an important new addition to Miami's offensive line this year. James, you guys are 5 practices into training camp. You're enjoying a day off on Tuesday. How are things so far out there on Green Tree?
They've been going great. You know, it's always a challenge. You know, getting to camp with the schedule, and it's a lot of mental and physical burdens we're going through. But it's been awesome. It's fun to do hard stuff with good people, as Coach Dawson said the other day, and really enjoying it. And there's no place I'd rather be right now.
How's the heat and humidity here compared to Texas?
The heat is probably similar. It's a lot more humid here, I would say. But everywhere I've been has been pretty hot. So I like to say I'm somewhat used to it.
Yeah, take me through your process when you hit the transfer portal back in December and you were weighing your options. Were there any other schools that you were seriously interested in? And at the end of the day, why did you decide that Miami was the place for you?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at some other schools too, but at the end of the day, I knew that Miami was going to be the best spot for me. And, understanding that Coach Cristobal has a huge emphasis on the offensive line here, and, getting to talk to Coach Mirabal and talking football with him, whether that was, on a FaceTime or, getting down here and visiting. I fell in love with the place and the culture and everything it stands for, and it's something I wanted to be a part of.
What's it like going through a practice with Alex Mirabal? Like, he seems, from what the media gets to see and what we talk to him, he seems incredibly animated and very hands-on.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty dead on. He's very animated. He's always juiced up. There's never a time where he doesn't feel like he wants to be out there. He's always very energetic, very passionate, and at the end of the day, he's very grateful to be in the position he's in, to have the impact he has on us. And we love working with him, and he loves pushing us to get the most out of us.
How do you feel about these first 5 training camp practices that you guys have been through? And you went through spring and off-season workouts, so I know it's not like you just got here last week. But does it ramp up to another level in training camp? And can you talk to me about the intensity and the physicality out there so far?
Yeah, I'd say when we practice, it's always very intense, very physical. So I mean, the practices are fairly similar so far to what they were in the spring. It's just there's more of them and a quicker time period, I guess you could say, because in the spring it's every other day, and then once you get into camp, you're going every day pretty much. But yeah, I mean, every time we're strapping up the pads, and you got to make sure your chin strap's on tight, and you're going to be hitting a lot, and it's going to be physical, and it's going to be hot, and that's what we're here for. When we're here to work, and that's what we're doing.
When it's the O-line going up against the D-line in practice, who do you find yourself matching up with the most, and who are some of the guys who maybe give you the hardest time when you're going either one-on-one or O-line on D-line?
Yeah, I mean, I get to go against a bunch of different guys. I mean, Justin Scott, Blay, and Moden, all those guys, make me bring my A game every time, and it's awesome to be able to go against such great players in practice. And at the end of the day, iron's going to sharpen iron, and I'm going to give them good looks, and they're going to give me good looks, and it's going to make us better players at the end of the day. And through that, we're going to have a better team because of it.
Talk to me about your offensive line mates. A lot of experience in that group. Playing next to guys like Inez Cooper and CeCe Maui Noah, who have been foundational for the past couple of seasons. Talk about them a little bit and kind of how tight-knit that offensive line is.
Yeah, I mean, those two have been awesome. Since getting here, they were super welcoming to me. And, I got here and, learned the system. You can talk to coaches as much as you want, but, getting to work with the players that you're going to be playing with is, always going to be the most important thing, in my opinion. And, those guys welcoming me and, telling me, the way they do stuff and show me how they do it here. And, I've been able to come in and adapt to that. And it's been a really good thing for me.
Does the offensive line, do you guys have any goals that you talk about and anything that you kind of internalize for the season coming up?
Yeah, I think one of the main things we want to be is, the most physical group on the field every time we are there. And we want to do whatever it takes to, win football games for the Miami Hurricanes this year. So whether that's, get on the line and run the ball every single play of the game, or if we got to step back and let Carson make some throws this year, we're going to do whatever it takes to put the team in the best spot to be successful.
So Carson Beck, you mentioned it, who like you is a transfer. You're both new to Miami. The quarterback center chemistry has to be something special. James, do you feel like you guys are developing that so far?
Yeah, for sure. Especially since he's been able to get back on the field with us in fall camp. We got here at the same time, but I think this fall camp has been really important for us compared to spring, because he was injured in the spring, wasn't able to practice with us. I mean, we were with him, but obviously it's not going to be the same as compared to just talking about stuff rather than actually getting live reps and doing it. But Carson's awesome. I mean, we're locker buddies in the locker room, so we're always chopping it up and getting to know each other better. And he's been great. He's awesome and he's super smart. I'm really excited to play with him this year.
Yeah, no doubt. What can you tell folks about, I've been able to catch some practices, and you mentioned he's fully healthy now. His arm looks great, and you can see him going through his progressions and also working with his teammates. Like, he seems to have the leadership as well. But to talk about his play style a little bit for, the fans who haven't seen him since he was at Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can do a little bit of everything. I think one thing people don't notice is that he can run a little bit. He's a lot faster than I think people give him credit for, and he can get out and scramble and make plays. And obviously, our job as offensive linemen is to prevent him from scrambling as much. But at the end of the day, that's kind of how football works sometimes. But he's got super live arm, super strong arm. He's very smart, and he's really good at protecting himself too. As a quarterback, he can send us in certain directions, and he can read coverages, and he can see pressure indicators, and he can send us in the right direction to pick up certain looks. And he does a really good job of that. And I think it's something that not everyone will see and pick up on if you were just sitting on the couch watching a game at home or something like that.
Now, for you guys on the offensive line, not only are you protecting the quarterback, but you're also opening up those running lanes, James. And I know it's something you take a lot of pride in, run blocking, and it's become, a tradition, especially since Coach Cristobal has been back and Mirabal has been here, for Miami to be a strong running team this year. Talk a little bit about the running backs you're blocking for. We got a bunch of guys well over 200 pounds, right? With Fletcher at 225, Marty Brown 220, Jordan Lyle is up over 200. Talk a little bit about what you see from these guys in practice.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys are big, strong guys, but at the same time, they've got that gear where they can turn the jets on and go break one loose. And obviously they're really physically gifted, but I think the best thing about those guys, they all have really good vision, and they do a good job of setting blocks up so they can start one way and get a linebacker to commit a certain way, and then they can cut it back the other way, and they can make our jobs easier too, and set us up for success. And they're all really good in the passing game too, whether that's getting out and catching the ball or sitting back and scanning the field and looking for extra blitzers to pick up. They're all team guys, and they're all willing to do whatever it takes to help us win games.
I got an extra pep in my step today thanks to 5 Hour Energy. It is time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And guys, I know that like golf is about hanging out and having fun, assuming you're not on the PGA Tour. However, when I'm out there with my friends, I get competitive. We're all trying to up the ante. We want to show up our buddies out there. So yeah, golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The great ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your first order. This offer only valid until September 30th on one order, cannot be used with other promotions, I should say. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. Something I'm curious to pick your brain on, because people are always asking me, but I don't know the way you guys know it. Between spring football and training camp, which started, last Thursday, you guys are constantly doing off-season workouts. Like, what is that off-season schedule like? Like, how many days a week were you guys working out, and what sort of stuff were you doing between spring and fall practice?
Yeah, so throughout summer, we're, obviously lifting and running and conditioning with the strength staff, but, there will be a lot of player-led practices. So we'll get on the field, and we'll be running plays versus the defense, and we'll be doing a lot of indie drills, and we'll be doing, blitz pickup cards, and, we'll be running the ball into different looks and walkthroughs and all that kind of stuff. So, people always think about, spring football, fall camp of the season, but it really is year round, and you're always continuously, perfecting your craft, and you're always out there playing football year round pretty much. So it's definitely a good thing to kind of always have it rolling. There's never really a time where you're, quote unquote, like restarting. It's always kind of just going forward.
Miami's I'll say the projected starting offensive line, with yourself included, are a lot of upperclassmen, experienced guys. There's also like the next generation of young offensive linemen that are behind you guys, including a guy like S.J. Alofa-Tuli, a freshman who may end up playing center in the future. How are the young guys doing, who could end up being important depth this year when we're talking about, second and third stringers? How are the rest of the guys doing?
Yeah, those guys are doing great. I think coming in as a freshman offensive lineman is a very tall task at high-level football programs, and there's so much being thrown at you continuously. And, besides knowing what to do, you've got to, walk up to the line of scrimmage and go block a, 6'5", 300-pound man who's trying to run you over every time. So, going from high school to that is definitely a big learning curve. But those guys have been doing great, and they're continuously getting better and improving. And, the sky's the limit for those guys, and, they just got to keep working, and, eventually it'll work out.
We're joined here by Miami Hurricanes center James Brockermeyer. James, tell me a little bit about your family, because there's a lot of football involvement there, right? I remember meeting a relative of yours back in spring who I think is involved in like some sort of analysis role or sports media role. Tell me a little bit about what else the Brockermeyers have going on.
Yeah, I think you're talking about my dad, who, he works for CBS Sports right now and does some college football work. But, he played in the NFL for 9 years and played college football. And, my grandpa played college football. And, I had a twin brother who, played college football with me for a few years. And, my brother Luke played college football too. And, I've got another brother, Jack. So there's 3 boys in the family. I've got a twin brother too. And, been a big burden on my mom over the years, feeding us and, driving us to football practice and stuff over the years. But, we've got a girl dog at least. So that's kind of been some backup for her over the years. But yeah, my family's awesome. It's definitely a huge blessing to have all those guys in my corner, and being able to, pick my dad's brain on certain things over the years has been a huge blessing, and something I'm very grateful for over the years. And just learning, having some shared experiences with him has been awesome, and something I'm very fortunate to have.
And so football truly is the family business, and all the boys and the men and the family, like the grocery bills must have been through the roof growing up.
Yeah, I mean, getting to college, and then when you got to shop for your own groceries and stuff like that, you take a step back and you're just like, dang, I wonder what it was like having to feed four boys and my dad growing up. So definitely puts things into perspective.
I can't even imagine. That's so cool. By the way, James Brockermeyer is nice enough to join us courtesy of Kane's Connection. You guys know the Miami Collective is doing awesome things. We actually have a special code. You can get half off, 50% off your first month on any membership tier at Kane's Connection with our code LOCKED50. That's LOCKED50. James, you've been a part of Kane's Connection. I'm sure since you arrived at Miami, what does that mean to you to be a part of that family?
Yeah, it's a huge honor and blessing. The guys over at Kane's Connection have done a great job, doing a lot of stuff for us. And, at the end of the day, they put us in touch with the community in a lot of different ways that we're super grateful for. And it's awesome to have these opportunities to interact with the community and the fans, because, at the end of the day, the fans and the community are what allows us to, have a nice indoor facility and, awesome coaches that are around us to put us in spots to be successful. So, we're just very grateful to have that opportunity for us, and have the support of the fans also.
That's great. And something I'm not even going to put you in a spot to talk about it, but something I really respect about you and all your teammates is you guys aren't out there talking about the first game, right? You're talking about the next practice coming up, the next day coming up. Because I've seen some other college football players, even as like last month, they're talking about their first game and how they're going to kick whoever's butt. That mentality, James, does that come down from Coach Cristobal, where like you guys aren't talking about Notre Dame on August 31st yet? You're talking about the next practice tomorrow is what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's really important to be process oriented, and we're focused on what practice is going to look like tomorrow, what our next lift is going to look like tomorrow, what our recovery day today is going to look like. There's nothing good, and looking ahead, whatever 3 weeks, a month from now, and if you do that, you're not going to be able to seize the day and get better every day and focus on going 1-0 every day at a time. And we're just taking day by day, and that's what we're here to do.
Oh, I love it. I appreciate your time, James Brockermeyer. Make sure you guys support him. Do you? I don't know how much, James. Do you use social media? And if so, let fans know where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at James R. Brockermeyer. I think that's what my handle is. Don't quote me on that. And then I think my Twitter is J_Brockermeyer. But something like that. I mean, if you search up James Brockermeyer, I think you'll have a pretty easy time finding it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, James, for taking the time, and have a great practice tomorrow. And we look forward to seeing you guys continue to go to work day by day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Go Canes.
Thank you so much to James Brockermeyer for joining us. And just so you know, he's looked the part so far out there at practice at the IPF in Green Tree. He's done a really good job kind of hitting the ground running and making an impact so far as Miami's new starting center. So thanks so much to James Brockermeyer. And again, guys, thank you so much to Kane's Connection. Remember, if you want to sign up, use our code LOCKED50 and you'll get 50% off your first month on any membership tier at canesconnection.com. Make sure you guys smash the like button and subscribe to Locked On Canes. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your pods. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.